Hey, I'm Shane from Shane's Law. I'm here today with Carilyn Ibsen, one of our attorneys here. We're going to talk about a particular client victory Carrie got for Mr. B and some of the unique things about this particular case. So, Carrie, how did this accident happen?
Well, a few days after Christmas, he was driving straight down a road in Charlotte here. He had the green light. He was through the intersection, and a car turned right in front of him. He hit that car, and his car with such force that his car ended up flipping over 2 times.
Wow.
He ended up upside down in his car.
So he's exactly why I always get nervous going through intersections, even if I've got the green light, because I worry about the other party not stopping.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened here. And you said he was upside down?
He was upside down, and he was able to get out of the vehicle. He went to the hospital. They did some preliminary tests, and if you're not bleeding internally or a trauma patient, they send you home.
Right.
They did identify him as a trauma patient when he got in, but once they realized that he didn't have any internal bleeding, broken bones, they sent him home.
Was that the case? Was he all better?
No, he was not better. He could barely walk, So he ended up calling us. He started some treatment with a chiropractor and an orthopedic. Orthopedic found out that his neck was hurting because he had bulging discs and he had a tear in one of the discs.
Now, when we were talking before, you said that the biggest issue and impact on this case was work.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about that. What happened there? How did it impact him? How, was he an older gentleman? Was he a younger gentleman? How did that go?
No, he's in his 30s, and he's worked for Coca-Cola for several years. And this was terrible timing because it was right after Christmas. He was off for Christmas for about 2 weeks.
So he may have thought he was, not as bad as it was because he wasn't doing his job. He was mostly resting and just taking it easy, or did he say the holidays stunk?
It was a bad holiday.
Was it?
He was in pain. And once he found out and saw the results of the MRI, he was like, well, gosh.
That explains that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a tear in one of my discs, and I've got bulging discs. It made sense. But what was hard about this was when he returned to work after Christmas break, he was supposed to get a promotion.
Oh, wow.
And that promotion required him to do more work, and more physical work. And he couldn't do it. Doctor said, you can't lift, you can't do what Coca-Cola is asking of you. So Coca-Cola, he had a very good relationship with them. He kept his job, but he didn't get that promotion. So he was set back.
Oh, wow.
By several months before he was able to get back into that position. So he not only lost the promotion, but he lost that pay that he was expecting.
Now, did you say ultimately he was able to get back on track the way he was? Or was it like promotion gone, sitting here and, you know what I mean, you've got to re-earn it all?
No, the Coca-Cola was really good to him. He got treated. They did some work on his back, and he got better. And right when we settled the case, he was getting his original position back. But that was, 9 months after, 9 months after the accident.
So set him back almost a year for his whole career, basically.
Correct. And what made it interesting is he was, we talk to a lot of clients all the time, and some will tell you what's going on, some are very articulate. He wrote the most beautiful statements about the effect this had on him, but he was also able to really do a good job of talking about the effect of not getting this promotion.
Okay.
And we had an offer from the insurance company, and I asked my client, I said, can you give me a little bit more? Tell me, give me, add a little bit of life to this and show me what really happened. And we sent those letters in, and they issued their policy limits after that.
And that's what's amazing is on paper, the injuries can all be the same, right? And then sometimes we talk to clients and tell us the impact it was, and some are like, well, I just hurt, I couldn't do X or I couldn't do Y. But in this case, somebody really went through and talked about how it really impacted them at work and the impact of that, and sometimes we ask for stuff on how it impacts family members, and that made all the difference in this case, right?
The way he was able to write about that, and it wasn't just loss of income, it was also goals that he had set for himself that he wasn't able to get. And I always encourage my clients to focus more on the effect it's had on your life and what you can't do, not the inconvenience.
Right.
Because the law doesn't recognize inconvenience as it does pain and suffering, loss of use, loss of income, the loss of ability to do something. And I wish I could say it was my work that got him, but he did such a great job. I read it and I thought, this is perfect.
This is exactly what we need. This explains what it is. This is the same thing he would talk about in front of a jury that would be persuasive.
Exactly.
Because our damages they're based on medical bills and pain and suffering, but that pain and suffering is really the impact.
Exactly, yes.
It's much easier for us as lawyers when we've got stuff to argue specifics and real stories and real impact. I mean, it's all true, but it sounds true and it sounds genuine, and you can see that, and you can see that story unfolding, and on the other side realizes, wow, if they tell this story, people are going to understand it and believe it and know. And in this particular case, you sent it off, the insurance company read it too, it touched them, and suddenly they're ready to offer their money. Is that right?
They did. They sent those letters in. He wrote 2. I wrote, the first one was sent, and then I said, I want a little bit more about this, and he wrote a second one, and within about 7 days, I had the policy limits from the insurance company. From an insurance company that is notoriously hard to get policy limits from. I will not name names.
So it sounds like really he was super lucky that, you looked at the stuff and said, hey, to get what we need to get to really reflect what you went through, I need more from you.
Yeah.
I need you to tell me the story. And a lot of times they'll tell it to us verbally, but in this particular case, he told it to you in writing. And you read it, and you were like, I don't even need to retell this story. You've already told the right story, and you sent it off. And, imagine if he hadn't had you as his lawyer to tell him to go get that evidence.
Yeah, I hope I had a good hand in that. And like I said, he did a good job. Fortunately, he got better without surgical intervention. The orthopedic did a really good job. He did get better. Young guy. Really happy to see him get that promotion, though.
Wow. No, yeah, it sounds like he got his life back on track, and it sounds like you helped him get the finances to get it going.
He'll probably never go through an intersection again the same way, though.
I would imagine. No, he'll do what I do, which is slow down and look. And
yeah.
My wife gets really mad when I'm like, hey, you don't know that guy's going to stop or not.
I hear you. My family yells at me. They're like, why do you slow down on a green light? And I say, I look at accident reports all day. I have PTSD from just looking at these every day and understanding how many drivers don't obey rules.
Especially when you look at cases like this where they got hit and flipped over upside down and spinning around. I mean, just like in TV shows. I mean, that's exactly what happened to this poor guy. For all of our listeners out there, this is one of the things we talk about, that the value you can add to a case by telling us what you really lose. So much more than just, hey, my back hurts or my neck hurts or my knee hurts. Tell us what you lose, and we can take that evidence and then we can present that to the jury. For all of our listeners, hit like and subscribe down below for more client victories from Shane Smith Law and tips and tricks on personal injury work. And always remember, if you're in pain, call Shane, 980-999-9999.
In pain, so I call Shane, 980-999-9999. In pain, call Shane.